Okay, very good. Okay. Now before we start our class, so here we're now at Unit 29, and this is before they were famous and after. Before we continue discussing this, let's do a little recap about the things that we learned last time. Can you tell me what we learned last time?
Uh, there, there is, there are some, any, in, on, under.
Okay, very good. Good job. So for preposition, we have in, on, and under. And we also learned how to use there is and there are. Okay, good job. So you remember most of the things that we discussed. Okay. Now let's go to pronunciation. So here are the words that I asked you to familiarize or to practice. So we have these words. Can you read these words?
Lam,
Yes. Next.
remote, remote,
Okay, good job.
postcard,
Okay.
village,
Village.
village,
Okay, good. This one.
cases,
Yeah, okay, very good. This is
second,
second. And this is
stay,
okay, very good. Okay, so it seems that you practiced your pronunciation. Now let's go to your homework. So my homework for you is to answer some sets of questions like where were you yesterday? So these are the things that you did yesterday, Friday. Okay. Where were you yesterday? So let's start at where were you at 8 p.m.?
um, at 8 p.m. I was at the sports center.
Okay, I was at the sport center.
Center.
Okay.
At
Uh,
11 at 11 p.m. I was sleeping
I was
uh, in the bed in my
okay.
bed.
Okay, I was in my bed. Okay. Last, where were
Uh,
you at 5 p.m.?
at 5 p.m. Uh, I was at the my company.
This is what you said. Okay, review your answer. This is what you told me. I was at my company.
at at my company.
Okay, so no doubt. I was at my company. Okay, very good. Now, uh, your last answer, which is I was at my company, this is correct. Okay, but uh, just to improvise your phrase or the way you use your vocabulary, instead of using I was at my company, you can say this one. I was at work. So when you say I was at work, then we are having, we are receiving the thought of you are at your company and working. So you don't have to say at my company. You don't have to say my company. Just just say at work. Okay. Okay. Now, you did your homework very nicely. So good job. And also we have at in. Okay, so these are also types of prepositions. So specifically, this is preposition of places. Okay, so at, in, and we also have another one, on. Later on, we will learn how to use at, in, and on. So here's our objectives. Of course, you will continue your sentence rhythm, which you know how to do. And for preposition, like I said last time, we learned about in, on, under. Well, this time, the preposition that we will learn is in, at, on. And for speaking, here I gave this to you as your homework. Where were you yesterday? Now let's start. Here. For sentence rhythm. And also, for your pronunciation, we will listen to an audio. Afterwards, you will repeat this dialogue here with the rhythm that you will hear now. So let's start.
4.15.
Can you hear it?
Yes.
Where were you at 7 o'clock last night?
I was at home.
You weren't at home. Your wife says you were out.
Oh, yes, I remember now. I was in a bar.
Were you alone?
No, I wasn't. I was with a friend.
Okay. So our audio is done. Now it's time for you to read the dialogue, or it's time for you to repeat the dialogue. And remember the rhythm. Remember how it was spoken. Okay, let's start. You can start now with A.
Where were you at 7 o'clock last night? I was at home. You weren't at home. Your wife says you were out. Oh yes, I remember now. I was in a bar. Were you alone? No, I wasn't. I was with a friend.
Okay, very good. Can you please repeat this part here? This one. This sentence. Can you repeat this again? And this time, you have to say it like this. You weren't at home. Your wife says you were out. Okay? So you have to be careful with your out. Okay. Now let's read.
You weren't at home. Your wife says you were out.
Okay, good job. Your out sounds a lot better. Very good. Okay, now let's go to the next slide. So this is just the same practice or same activity. So copying the rhythm and repeating the sentences. Now we have again an audio, so we will listen. After that, you will repeat
10.
the sentence.
10b. Pronunciation. 1,
Where were you last night?
2,
Were you at home?
3,
I was alone.
4,
I wasn't with my friends.
5,
Were your children at school?
6,
My wife was at work.
Okay. You know, it's time for you to repeat the sentences. And before you read, I would like you to be careful uh, with your last sound, like for work, okay? Emphasize the last sound, which is K, work. For wife, we have F here, so emphasize your F sound, wife. Okay, now let's go. Number 1.
Where were you last night? Were you at home? I was alone. I wasn't with my friends. Were your children at school? My wife was at work.
Okay, okay, very good. Okay, now let's practice again. It's number 2. Okay,
Were you at home?
okay. Let's do it like this. Were you at home?
Were you at home?
Okay, that sounds better. Okay, very good. Now we're done here. So let's go to the next slide. Okay. So if you notice, let's go back a little. So if you notice, we have again prepositions like at. And of course we have where and was and wasn't. Okay. Now for this slide here, what we will practice is the preposition. Again, we have in, at, and on. So look at the 2 sentences. What are the missing words? Our missing words here are prepositions. So, for number 1, what do you think is the right preposition here?
At.
So, at. Okay, so your answer is at. For number 2,
At.
okay, also at. Okay. So here's the rule, or here's some rule when using prepositions. So a preposition, it tells us about a position or a location of something, of a thing, like your location, of a location of like a remote. So preposition, from the word position. So it tells us about the position or location of something. So here, when we are talking about city, Sicily is a city. Like Vietnam is a city. So when we are talking about city, when we are referring about city, we will use in. For a country, a city, we will use in. Like in Vietnam, in Philippines, in Paris, in America. Okay. So because Sicily is a country or a city, you will use in. Now for number 2, we have school. And you used at as your preposition. Your answer here is correct. So we use at when we are referring to a specific place, at school, at a gym, okay? Like at mall. So good job. So for number 2, your answer is correct. Okay, now let's practice more how to use prepositions. Here. So complete the chart with in, at, or on. So for in, here's your clue. I will send this to you. In. In can be used for country, city, and enclosed place. Okay. When we say enclosed place, it means here. When we say enclosed place, we'll give you the definition. Here, enclosed place. It means a place that can surround a person or an object. Like a box. A box is an enclosed place. A building is an enclosed place. When you are at a house, in a house, so that's an enclosed place. So something that where you can be inside. That's an enclosed place. So that's in. Now let's go to at. When do we use at? Like I said, we use at for specific places or public places, like a museum, at a museum. And address. So if you're giving me your address, like when I say block 10, lot 5, Philippines, so Quezon City, Philippines, so I will have to use at. Like when you're telling someone about your address, if you notice, we will use at. Like, hi, I live at. You don't need to. You don't have to say I live in 45th Street, or I live in 25th Avenue. So we will use at. Now for on. So for on this, we will use on for means of transportations on surfaces like walls or table. And also like lake, anything with flat surface, we will use on lake. So on ocean. For transportation, okay, that's trans. I forgot to put S. So for transportation, we have like a taxi, that's a means of transportation. A train, that's also a means of transportation. What else? A ship or a ferry. Like ferry. That's a means of transportation. Okay. So now you have the clue. What is in, at, on, and how to use them. So let's go to this exercise here. Okay. So for number 1, column number 1, what should we use? In, at, or on? Is it in home, at home, or on home?
At home.
Okay.
At.
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 At. At. At. It's at. Okay. How about number 2?
In.
Okay, very good. Okay. And number 3?
On.
Okay, good job. Okay, like here, like I told you, on we have transportation. So these are kinds of transportation. In, like in the street, inside the street, inside a cafe. So these are the examples of enclosed. These are the examples of enclosed space. And of course, we have cities. Country or city in London. At of course specific place. At home, at work, at school, at university. Like for your homework, you use at. So good job. At work. And you use in for your bed. So good job. In bed. Okay. Now we have here another audio. So we have to listen to this audio and check if you got the correct answer and repeat the sentences. Let's start.
4.13. Where were you yesterday at 7 p.m.? 1,
I was at home. I was at work.
I was at school.
I was at university.
2,
I was in bed.
I was in the kitchen. I was in my car.
I was in London.
I was in the park.
I was in the street.
I was in a cafe.
I was in a museum. I was in a shopping centre.
I was in a restaurant.
3,
I was on a bus.
I was on a train.
I was on a plane.
Done.
Oh, hello. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I didn't know how long I turned my mic off. Okay. Anyway, like I said, you need to repeat the sentences, but because we still have a lot of activities ahead to do, we will skip this one and just continue to the next slide. Is that okay? Okay. Continue. So here, we have another audio. If you have a paper and pencil with you, if you have a paper and pen, that would be better because what we will do here is we will listen to an audio. Listen very carefully and take notes of the things that the person is doing during these sets of time. Okay. Okay. Now, are you ready to listen?
Yes.
Okay, let's go.
4.14. 1, at 6 o'clock in the morning. 2, at 8 o'clock in the morning. 3, at 11 o'clock in the morning.
Welcome aboard Flight 374 to Barcelona. Our flight time will be approximately 2 hours.
4, At 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Five. At 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Six. At 7 o'clock in the evening. Seven. At 10 o'clock at night.
Okay, so did you catch the audio?
One more.
Okay, no problem.
4.14. 1. At 6 o'clock in the morning. 2. At 8 o'clock in the morning. 3. At 11 o'clock in the morning.
Welcome aboard Flight 374 to Barcelona. Our flight time will be approximately 2 hours.
Four. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon. 5. At 5 o'clock in the afternoon. 6. At 7 o'clock in the evening. 7. At 10 o'clock at night.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so here, for number 1, the answer is given. So he was in bed. Okay. Now for number 2, if remember, when giving your answer, use past tense. So use was, because we are practicing past tense here. And the question is, where was Jason yesterday? Okay. So number 2, what's your answer?
He was on the rock. Rock.
He was,
ค่ะ
okay.
rock.
He was on the car. Okay. Okay, so I understand that you use on because we're talking about transportation. Okay. But for car, car should be in. In the car. That also goes for taxi. Taxi should also use the preposition of in the taxi. Although for bus, bus should be using on preposition. So in the car. 11. Where was Jason at 11 yesterday?
He was uh, he was in the plane.
Okay. Okay, let's go back here. For transportation, for public transportation. A transportation where many people are using, like a large number of passengers are using, we will use on. So plane should use on a plane. So your answer here should be he was
On the plane.
okay. Uh, we should use a on a plane. Okay. Okay, like okay. Refer to this again. A plane, a cafe, the park. Okay. So that this is where you should be very careful for your and the. Okay, now let's go to at 3 o'clock. Where was Jason yesterday at 3 o'clock?
He was at the airport.
Okay.
Airport.
Okay, he was at the airport. Okay, very good. He was at the airport. Now at number 5. Where was Jason yesterday at 5 o'clock?
He was in the car.
Okay. Okay, let's I think like we can listen again.
4.14.
Let's see. Can you hear this?
1.
Yes.
At 6. 4. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
'Okay, so for number 4, 3 o'clock. Listen again to the sound. Are you familiar with that sound?
4. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
'So this is for number 4. What do you think is that sound?
He was at on a train.
Yes, it's a train. He was on a train. Now let's go to number 5. Let's listen again.
5. At 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay. So let's listen again to the sound.
6,
Okay. So where do you think is that place?
He was on the rock.
Okay. I think I can hear a footstep.
Rock.
I think it's a street. Do you think it's a street? And he was walking. It sounds like he's walking, and there's a traffic, and there's just a lot of noise. Like people moving at the background. There are cars passing by. So it's a street.
He was on the street.
Yes. Yes, he was. We will use in. He was in the street. Okay. Yeah, street is also enclosed space. Okay. Now, number 7. I mean 6.
6,
What's your answer here?
He was in the restaurant.
Okay. A restaurant or cafe. Okay. But we will use a restaurant. Okay. And okay, last one. At 10. Where was he?
He was in bed again.
Yes, he was in bed again, snoring again. Okay, very good. Okay. Before I go to the next slide, do you have any questions?
No.
Okay. Now let's continue our activity. So we will practice again prepositions. We'll practice how to use prepositions. So, where were these people yesterday? Write sentences with in, at, or on, and a word from the list. The word from the list are these words here. And from the question, where were these people yesterday? So we will use past tense. Like now for number 1, let's make this bigger because I don't think you can see it very clear. For number 1, so the answer is in past tense. She was on the train. Okay. How about for number 2? We can see 2 people here.
They were at the park.
Okay. They were for park. Okay. Oh, why did I use in there? Okay, we can use in the park. Your answer is at.
Public.
Yes, public places. Yes, at the park. So, at the park. Okay, so we're done with number 2, and we're done with at. We're done with park. Let's scratch that out. No more park. Let's go to number 3. Look at the photo.
He's were at work.
Okay, there are 2 of them. 2 persons.
They were at work.
Okay, they were at work. Okay, good job. So 2 people. So where? Now number 3.
They were
Okay.
in the bed.
Okay. Okay, they were in bed. Okay. Putting the is also okay in the bed. Okay. Number 5. Just one person there.
They were asleep.
Okay. So we're done with bed. They. Okay. So you will use they, but we also will just have one person here.
She was at
Okay. At the street. Okay. Oh, where's my mouse? I can't find my mouse. Here. Okay. For street, like I said, a street is in an enclosed place, somewhere that you can be inside the street. So we will use in. We Okay, this is a girl, so I will make this she. She was in the street. Okay, number 6, last one.
She was at home.
Okay, yes, she was at home. Okay, very good. Okay, so we're done here. Now let's go to the next slide. Okay, so now here, uh, in pairs, ask and answer the questions. Okay. So we have here, where were you yesterday? Okay, I will ask you first. And then, for this one, you will ask me. For number 2. For number 1, I will ask you and you will answer. Okay. So my question for you is, where were you yesterday at 7 in the morning?
I was in the street.
Oh, you okay. How about where were you yesterday at 10 in the morning?
I was at my company.
Hey, or I was at work. You can just say at work. Okay. Okay, now it's time for you to ask. Can you ask me these questions?
Where were you yesterday at 7 in the morning?
I was in my bed. Yes, I'm still sleeping by that time.
Where were you yesterday at 10 in the morning?
I was
in the bed.
not yet. Okay, not anymore. At 10. Okay, but although for you, every weekend, like you told me, you wake up very late during weekend, so you will probably be in the bed at 10. But yesterday, where was I? Yesterday, I was at the kitchen. Yes, it's a specific place, so we will use at. Making my breakfast. So I'm like
Breakfast.
yes, brunch, breakfast and lunch. Okay, here number 2. Where were you yesterday at 4 in the afternoon?
I was at work.
Where were you yesterday at 6:30 in the afternoon?
Where were I was in the cup market supermarket.
Yeah.
In the supermarket.
Oh, you're okay. Correct. In supermarket. Okay. Mm, okay, let's just go to number 4. Can you ask me these questions?
Where were you last Friday night?
I was where was I? Oh, I was at work last Friday night because my work is during nighttime. How about you? Where were you last Friday night?
I was at Sport Center.
Oh, so every Friday night you're at Sports Center
Yes.
doing your yoga?
Yes. Dance and dance.
Oh, oh, you dance.
Yes.
I don't. I can't dance. I don't know how to dance. Well, I can dance, but it's not very pleasant to watch me dancing because my body's like this. It's very stiff. I can't shake. I can't shake my body. Okay. Okay, so good job. Now let's go to here. Okay, for your mistakes and summary. So we're done with the first part. Okay. Well, let's just give you your mistake and summary when we are done with the other parts. So when we finished all of our classes uh, for tonight, this is when I just give you your overall or your mistakes and corrections. All your mistakes and corrections that you did. So let's just jump directly to part 2. So we're done with part 1. Now let's go to part 2. So of course, um, we will talk about past simple. So this is basically using was and were for past simple. Okay, and we have here a reading. For me, it was a game. And listening, where was he or she? Which we kind of did for part 1 also, this one here. Now let's not waste any time and let's continue. So here, past simple with be verbs. Okay. Of course, you know the be verbs because we talked about this or we learned about be verbs from our previous classes. So just go directly to the chart. So past simple for be verbs. We have present and past. So this is present tense. What you will do is to rephrase this into, I mean, you have to supply the appropriate verb for past tense. So here's the present tense. Russell Crowe is an actor now. Complete this box here. Russell Crowe is an actor now. He, should we use was or were?
He
So here,
is. He was.
yes, was, because past. Is for present and was is for past tense. Good. He was a waiter. Okay. Second sentence. The two women are famous now.
They were.
They were, how do you read this one?
Waitresses.
Yes. Okay. Waitresses.
Waitresses.
Okay. Waitresses. Okay. Waitresses. And you used were. Good job. Now, before we go to the next slide, can you tell me when should we use was and when should we use were?
Was singular.
Yeah. Okay, good. And were?
Plural.
Okay, good job. Very good. So now here for your grammar rule. Okay, so this is how we should use was and were. Like you said, singular and plural. Now, we'll practice how to say these sentences, but first we will listen to an audio. After listening to an audio, just read the sentences in the screen. Now let's start.
4.10.
I was a teacher. I wasn't a teacher.
You were in class yesterday. You weren't in class yesterday.
He was tired last night. He wasn't tired last night.
It was hot last week. It wasn't hot last week.
We were in London last month. We weren't in London last month.
You were late this morning. You weren't late this morning.
They were famous in the 60s. They weren't famous in the 60s. Were you late?
Yes, I was. No, I wasn't. Was she a singer?
Yes, she was. No, she wasn't. Were they in Mexico last week?
Yes, they were. No, they weren't.
Okay, so these are a lot of words. So let's not waste any time and start reading. Okay, so let's start here.
I was a teacher. I wasn't a teacher. You were in class yesterday. You weren't in class yesterday. He was tired last night. He wasn't tired last night. It was hot last week. It wasn't hot last week. We were in London last month. We weren't in London last month. You were black this morning. You weren't black this morning. They were famous in the 60s. They weren't famous in the 60s. Were you played? Yes, I was. No, I wasn't. Was she a singer? Yes, she was. No, she wasn't. Were they in Mexico last week? Yes, they were. No, they weren't.
Okay, good job. Now, just a little correction here, Miss Nia. For example, this one.
I
The way,
was a
yes.
teacher.
Okay, this one. How do you read this one?
Wasn't.
Okay.
I wasn't a teacher.
Okay, that sounds much better because earlier this is how you read it. I wasn't a teacher, but this time you sound a lot better. Okay, so good job. So maybe you just need a head start to read these words properly. But later on, as you were reading all the words, you are getting better and better with your pronunciation and your rhythm. So good job. Okay. Anyway, okay, so here's the rules how to use was and were. But I remember we talked about how to use this before. So this is just like a review to you. So these are the rules. And just remember for past time expressions, you can use the past simple with these time expressions. When you say time, so this includes like mentioning like this morning, yesterday, last night, last weekend, last month, last year. So, so we will use was and were for time expressions, and these are the time expressions. Like we have example here. He was late this morning. She wasn't uh, well last night. So every time you want to say something that includes time expressions, use was or were. Of course, you know how to use was and were. Like I said, it differs if a sentence is singular or plural. Okay. Now, before I go to the next slide, do you have any questions?
No.
Okay, very good. Okay, so let's practice how to use was and were. What you will do here is you have to rewrite the sentences and put was and were. Like this, we blank at home last night. So we have this sign here. So this means it's a negative sentence. So we weren't at home last night. How about for number 2? This is a question. How do you make a question? Using was and were.
Were you at school yesterday?
Okay, very good. Okay. Number 2.
James wasn't very well yesterday.
Okay, good. Oh, sorry. Wasn't. Number 3.
We were on the plane at 4 o'clock.
Okay, very good. Where? Because plural. Yeah, okay. Here. Number 4.
Were they in class yesterday?
Okay. Uh, now number 5.
David. David.
Yes, David.
Uh, wasn't very happy last night.
Okay. Yes, wasn't. Okay, again, I didn't put the wasn't here. Wasn't. Number 6.
I was in a meeting until 7 last night.
Good job. 7.
Was your sister in London last week?
Okay, very good. Yes. Your answer is correct here. And last one, number 8.
It was a terrible film.
Okay, very good. Okay, so it looks like you're an expert how to use was and were. So I will not discuss further about this. Let's just go forward and practice more how to use your be verbs for past simples. Okay, so the instruction here is complete the conversation with was, wasn't, were, or weren't. Okay, so here's the script. Okay. A, where were you last night? What's your answer there?
I I was at work on evening.
Okay, very good. Number 2, can you read this one?
No, you wasn't. You were with Miriam.
Okay, again,
You was with Miriam.
you was with Miriam.
No, I wasn't. Was Freddie Mercury an actor? No, he wasn't. He was a singer with Queen.
Okay,
Was you in England yesterday?
okay, so your answer is was.
Was no, we wasn't. Wasn't.
Okay. So your answer here is weren't. Okay, so let's go back to number 8. So number 8, 9, and 10, they belong to the same conversation, same script. No. For 9, the answer here is no, we weren't. So what do you think should we put for number 8?
Were.
Yes, were. So this should be were. And number 10?
We were in Rome. Rome.
Okay, Rome. Okay. 11.
Was the book good?
Okay. And 12.
No, it wasn't. It was very slow.
Okay, very good. Good job. So now before we go to the next slide, let's read again the script. So I will read A, you will read B. And this time, you will read this much faster than what you're doing when you are still figuring out the correct answer. Because now we know the correct answer, the sentence is complete, so we can read this better this time. I will start. Where were you last night?
I was at work on evening.
No, you wasn't. You was with Miriam.
No, I wasn't.
Was Freddie Mercury an actor?
No, he wasn't. He was a singer with Queen.
Were you in Milan yesterday?
No, we weren't. We were in Rome.
Was the book good?
No, it wasn't. It was very slow.
Okay, very good. So there you sound much better. Okay. Just correction. Be very careful with your singer. Okay. Sometimes we don't pronounce this very well, but when you read it again, you got the correct pronunciation. So, good job. Now, here for our next slide, okay, uh, listen and say the sentences in the past. Okay, so we will listen to an audio, and there are a lot of sentences, so you have to take notes of the sentences that comes up in the audio. Take note of those sentences. Okay. Now that you have, I think you have a paper and pen with you. So let's just start listening.
1.
She's a waitress. She was a waitress.
2.
Is he an actor? Was he an actor?
3.
We aren't very happy. We weren't very happy.
4.
It isn't expensive. It wasn't expensive.
5.
They are terrible. They were terrible.
6.
Are you a student? Were you a student?
7.
I'm not tired. I wasn't tired.
8.
You're in my class. You were in my class.
Would you like to listen again?
Yes.
4.11. 1.
She's a waitress. She was a waitress.
2.
Is he an actor? Was he an actor?
3.
We aren't very happy. We weren't very happy.
4.
It isn't expensive. It wasn't expensive.
5.
They are terrible. They were terrible.
6.
Are you a student? Were you a student?
7.
I'm not tired. I wasn't tired.
8.
You're in my class. You were in my class.
Finish. minutes. Hello?
Oh, okay. Hello. I keep talking, but my mic was off. I'm so sorry for that. Okay, so anyway, you said you're finished, so I suppose you you were able to take down notes. Now it's time for you to say the sentences in the past. Okay, so let's start.
Number 2.
Yes, let's go to number 2.
I cannot listen.
Again?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know this. Number 2. Worthy. Worthy.
Okay, so you have to say the past tense. Here's the uh, present tense. What's the past tense of that?
Was
Yes.
he an actor?
Okay, very good. Was he an actor? Yes. Okay.
We aren't very happy.
Yes.
We weren't very happy.
Okay, very good. That's correct. We weren't. And next, can you remember?
It isn't expensive.
Yes, correct.
It wasn't expensive.
Okay, good job. Next sentence.
They are terrible. They were terrible.
Okay, very good. Next sentence.
Are you student?
And the past tense of this is
Was you a student?
okay, good job. Next. Next. Last two.
I am not tired.
Yes.
I wasn't tired.
Okay. And last sentence.
I don't know.
I didn't. Okay. So here.
Lots.
You're in my class. How do you make that sentence into past tense?
You was in my class.
Okay. You weren't. Weren't. Okay. Okay. So most of the sentences that you heard, you were able to take note. It was just number 2 and number is this 8 that you did not take note. But the rest is you did take note of them. Okay, so good job. Okay, so another work here. I'm actually waiting for a free talk, but I think the free talk is still down below. So let's just continue with this. So here, again, you will rewrite the sentences into past. So we have here sentences in present tense. So because all the sentence ends with yesterday, it means we have to make past tense sentences. Okay. Like this one, they weren't at home yesterday. Now let's just go to number 3. How do you make this into past tense? He's at a restaurant tonight.
He was at a restaurant last night.
Okay. Number 4.
We weren't at school yesterday.
And number 5.
Was you at work last night?
Correct? Okay, look at again your answer.
Was you at work last night?
Okay, so here. For when making questions, when you are making questions,
Were.
yes, were. For was, it should be was I, was he. Okay. Oh, this is for was, okay? Was I, was he, was she, and was it. Here. For were, this is when we are making questions. For were, we have were you, were we, were they. Or were we, were you, were they. This is for making questions. Okay. I will send this to you so you can have a copy. Okay. So remember, when you're formulating or making questions, when you are starting with was, it should be followed by was I, was he, was she, what was it. Or where, I know you is a singular, but it should be um, followed before with where. So were you, were we, were they. Okay. So we have you. So it means this will be where. Now for number 6.
She was at the airport this morning. Yesterday evening. She was at the airport yesterday evening.
Yesterday evening. Okay. 7.
Was he black yesterday?
Okay. Number 8.
I wasn't in a hurry yesterday morning.
Okay, good job. So here, we're finished with this activity. Okay. Okay, so I explained to you at this slide how to use was and were when making questions. Now let's go to the next slide. So this will be our last activity before we end our class, because we will just do 1.5 hours for tonight. Am I right?
I don't understand.
Uh, we will do just 1.5 hours.
Yes.
Or would you like to make it 2 hours? Or are you tired?
Half. One point high hour.
Okay, just 1.5 tonight. Okay. So after this one, I will give you a summary and corrections, and you can take a rest. So let's
Yeah.
make this fast so you can sleep and rest your throat because I can see that you are still having cough. Are you going to see your doctor tomorrow?
No.
Oh, but how are you feeling? I can see that you're not yet okay. Do you feel better than the day before? Like, are you feeling better now than
No.
yesterday?
No. No.
But you don't have fever.
No happy. No better.
Yes, because your, I mean, your cough is getting worse. You're not becoming okay. You're not healing. So just drink your vitamins. I think you also have to add vitamins. Are you drinking vitamin C?
Yes.
Okay, well, that should help your cough.
I bring orange juice.
Oh yes, that's very good. So in exchange for your medicines, you drink orange juice and vitamin C and other kinds of vitamins to supplement your health. Okay, so anyway, like I said, after this activity, we will say goodbye to each other. We will end our class after this activity. So let's make this fast. Okay, so here, write questions and answers. Are you tired now?
Yes.
Would you like me to give this to you as homework?
Yes.
Okay, so let's just give this to you as a homework. Yes, I will just make a copy and send this to you for your homework. So tomorrow we will meet 8 to 9. Is that okay? Okay, so tomorrow our class will start at 8 p.m.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, very good. And we will end at 9. We can only have 1 hour class tomorrow.
Tomorrow 1 hour.
Yes, 1 hour tomorrow. Okay, so
Yes.
8 to 9. Okay, I like that. So here's for your homework. And for your vocabulary, I think we don't have much words that we encountered for your vocabulary. So anyway, for your pronunciation, just um, practice your rhythm. First, you just have to practice your rhythm and also these one, two, just three words. These are just the words that you mispronounce. Okay. Anyway, tomorrow we will meet again, so we will practice your rhythm. And here. Okay, I gave you your homework for your grammar. We have an example here. He was on a plane, just on a plane and on the plane. Just be very careful with your da and ah. Okay, so I think that would be all. So I'm very happy for tonight because what we did is we did a lot of activities. And I'm very happy that you survived our class because I know this is tiring when we just keep on uh, we just keep on doing questions and answer activities. But next week, I think tomorrow we will have a much better class because we will have a reading and we will also have a listening test and more free talk. So tomorrow will be more exciting than today. Okay, so anyway, thank you so much for your time, Miss Na. And I think you should take a rest now. You look very tired. So I hope that tomorrow you will wake up at 10 in the morning just to get the rest that you really need. So thank you so much for your time. I will see you tomorrow and we will check your homework tomorrow. Bye.
Bye. Good
Good,
night.
good night. Goodbye.